Hello and welcome to the monthly Q&A. If you'd like to get your question answered in a Q&A like this one, then head on over to ask.fm/Sharmalade and I will do my best to answer your question as long as it's not too rude. So the first question is in a different language. It's in Portuguese and it says, missing someone, put it in or say something to him or her. Who am I missing? So I often think about my school days, my primary school days, and I had a really amazing friend through secondary school, and her name was Louise, and I think about her often and wonder what she's doing, and we've reached out to each other a couple of times, but we're really far away from each other now, so it's difficult to kind of meet up. But she was my best friend growing up and we had such fun together. Oh god, I'm going to tell you a really embarrassing story now. So, this is really embarrassing, I can't believe I'm going to tell you this. So when I was, I guess, 14 or 15 perhaps, I had a crush on this boy at school and so did Louise. We had a crush on the same boy. And his name was Kevin Fryer. Let's hope he's not watching this video. And so I used to be quite into Wicca and witchcraft and all the spells and things like that. And so Louise and I found in one of our spell books this love spell. And basically you had to write a love letter to the person that you had this crush on. So I wrote a love letter to Kevin Fryer and then we perfumed the paper and we got some incense sticks and we ran it around the paper and did like an incantation of a love spell. I can hear people going by. I wonder if they're laughing at me. So anyway, we did the incantation of a love spell around the letter and sealed it up, put it in an envelope, and pretty sure I put lipstick on and kissed it. Oh. Anyway, so then the next day we went to school and Louise passed my love letter to Kevin Fryer, and I didn't know about this. I found out after the fact and I never witnessed it for myself, but apparently the love letter got pinned to the board in the main building and everybody was going up there and reading my love letter to Kevin Fryer. So the love spell didn't work, and if anything it ruined my life. It didn't ruin my life, but I didn't know anything about this love letter being pinned to the board in the main building, so I was alright, I was fine. But Louise and I used to do stupid things like that growing up, and we were thick as thieves in everything really. But I miss her and I really hope she's doing well. There's another one in a different language. See, this is Italian. Do you like horses? Oh, this ties in so well with the previous question. I love horses. So when I was a little girl, back to when I was sort of, I want to say maybe 13 through 16, Louise and I used to work at our local stables and we used to get up at about 6 o'clock on a Saturday and a Sunday. So we'd be at school through the week and then come the weekend we would jump on a bus, and I always remember it being like a winter's day and we'd be really cold and frosty air and we'd like be snuggled up in our cardigans and our denims. And we would get to the stables and we'd walk into, the stables was like quite big and the area that we worked in housed about, I want to say like 8 ponies. So slightly smaller than horses, maybe like 15 hands. And it was just, oh, the memory of it is so heartwarming to me. It's like I'm drinking a nice bowl of soup or something. But so we would go into these stables and all the horses would be, there'd be 4 on one side and 4 on the other, and they'd be steaming, you know, where it's so cold and they're giving off a lot of body heat. And for like an hour, Louise and I would just go around grooming the horses. And if you've groomed a horse before, it's almost meditative at a time when you do it for a certain amount of time and you just keep going and you kind of just relax. It's really, really relaxing, and the horses would all be resting and snorting and eating hay and stuff. And then we would go ahead and the riding school would open and kids would start coming in and adults as well. And Louise and I would tack the horses up, put the saddles on, put the reins on, and then we would lead the horses out and we would help the riders get onto the horses and lead them around a paddock. And we'd do that for an hour at a time, just walking around and maybe doing the trot with them, like running along with them. And I lived for it. I lived for that. I absolutely loved it, and it was just, I just was so excited every weekend to just go to the stables and hang with the horses. And in return for that, once a month we would get a 1 hour free riding lesson, and they always put me on this awful pony called Valco, I think his name was, and I think I've told you this story before in a previous Q&A. But this pony was a bloody nightmare. It hated me, it hated everyone. It hated everyone, it was like a grumpy old man. And it used to just turn around and bite my feet when I was riding it. So I didn't enjoy my hour riding lesson. But then after that we worked there for a really long time. And then after that we moved on to another riding school called Mount Maskell. And we were actually given our own horses to look after. There was 3 horses, Jess, Basil and Oscar. Oscar was a crazy, psychotic, huge thoroughbred horse, spooked very, very easily, very dangerous to be around, just an absolute nutter. I had Jess, who was very, is frisky a word that you can use outside of, you know, romantic intentions? Because she wasn't like, you know, sexually frisky. She was, you know, frisky as in energetic, really energetic. So like a few steps down from Oscar, but not as psychotic. And she was beautiful. And I used to always think she was a bit like a punk rocker because her mane used to stand like kind of upright, like a Mohican. And Louise had Basil, and Basil was a beautiful ginger coloured horse. And we looked after those for, I mean, I want to say it was like half a year to a year. And we only looked after these 3 horses. They were basically ours, and I was always promised a riding lesson. I never got one. Louise used to get one every month, and I used to watch her, and I would be grooming Jess and just watching Lou. And you know what? It didn't bother me because it was just so lovely to be around the horses. And I think I was a bit nervous about riding Jess anyway because she was a bit of a nutter. But Jess grew to know me, and when she was out in the paddocks, just grazing, she would run to me and like she was excited to see me. But then unfortunately the owner did a runner and didn't pay her stable fees, and she just upped and left and took the horses, so we didn't get to say goodbye. And that was the end of my working time with horses. From Adam Darlington, are you a good aim with a rubber band, lol? No, I'm afraid of the bloody things. I'm afraid of anything that flies around my face. I feel like the girl in Clueless when she says, my doctor's told me that I can't do anything where balls fly at my nose, and then the other girl retorts back with, well, there goes your social life. That's kind of me. I don't like anything that gets near my face. It makes me antsy. Like, I love playing badminton because I can, you know, slow. Dush, dush, where's it coming? It's there, dush. Tennis, no. Frisbee, no. Football, love kicking a ball about. But anything where I can't keep my eye on something because it's too quick freaks me out. What are your religious beliefs? So when I was, I want to say from the age of 10 upwards, my mum started taking me to church, and we went every Sunday, and I would go up when they were doing the actual service. A lot of the kids would go upstairs into there was an Alpha and an Omega group, and I think I was in the Alpha group. And basically we would just sit up there, and the ladies, the older ladies that were there would kind of talk to us about the Bible and stuff like that. I didn't really care, I didn't really understand, I was very young. And then I started to, when I hit primary school, I made friends with a little girl called Hannah, and we started to go to Salvation Army together, which I only remember a couple of times that I went, and I remember one of the times they told us to remember, for he loved the world so much that he gave his only son so that we may something, you know, live free or whatever. And that was kind of drummed into me for a reward, and it was said that if you learn that, you'll get this badge, and the badge had a rainbow on it, and I was like I've always loved fantasy and unicorns and rainbows and all these sorts of things, and I wanted that rainbow badge, so I learnt it, and it's kind of stuck with me. And you know, we used to recite the Lord's Prayer in school every morning, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, like I know that off by heart. And we used to sing hymns. And so I would have said that growing up I was a loose Christian, and not loose in the sexual term, loose as in, you know, I went along with Christianity because I felt that that was kind of what I needed to do, because that's what my mum did. And I used to pray, especially when my family was going through a divorce. I used to pray a lot, but it was more kind of just I needed someone to talk to, so I just talked to Jesus. But then after a while, when I got to 13, 14, I started to look into other religions and about Wicca and witchcraft, and I read something that's always stuck with me in the first book that I read about witchcraft, and that was that it's really helpful and good to look at religions as though they are a facet on the side of a diamond. I hope that's the right word, facet, like a side of a diamond. And as that diamond turns in the light, each facet catches the light and then it dims, and then the next facet catches the light and then it dims. So each religion has its time to shine and has something about it that makes it beautiful. And I think that's amazing, and I wouldn't class myself as someone who follows witchcraft, but I am spiritual, and I do believe that there's something, because I can feel that there's something. When like yesterday, for example, we went to Bradford-on-Avon, which is this town nearby, and it was really, really sunny, and I'd never been to this particular part before. We went to a little cafe called the Angelfish, and then we started walking down the river, and we came across some aqueducts, and there was some beautiful trees, and I turned to the people that I was with and I said, doesn't it feel like there's magic here? There is something here. And they all said, it does feel magical. It does feel like there's something here. You don't know what it is. You can't put your finger on it, but you feel it, and you feel it in your soul, your spirit, your mind, your heart, your body. And that's where my religion lies, I think, in feeling, and I use a lot of that in my singing. And so when I stand up and sing, I feel like that kind of magic that I felt yesterday when I was walking around is the kind of thing that I think about and I kind of immerse myself in, and then I sing. So I don't know if that counts as a proper religion, but that's kind of where my religious beliefs lie. Hey Sharm, I want to ask for a piece of advice relating to WoW. In your opinion, what is the best way to find a good social guild, make friends on the WoW community? The lacklustre of social aspect is always what made me leave WoW. I've joined a fair share number of guilds. There was no socialising from Aelith. I totally understand where you're coming from. I think sometimes it's so easy to go into a video game, an MMO, and join a guild or an FC or a company or whatever, and no one really talks and you don't really bond and you just kind of go about what you're doing. And I always said with World of Warcraft it would be really nice to have like a looking for friend tool, and I know that might sound a bit, stupid or whatever, but I think we've got looking for group, and that still kind of promotes playing solo, because you can just look for a group and get in and do a raid and then leave and that's it. But if you had like a looking for friend feature in the game, in any game, you're putting yourself out there to say, look, I'm looking for someone to hang out with and have a chat and play the game together and get to know each other and get to know the game together. But there isn't a feature like that. I think there should be. But I think the best thing you can do if you feel lonely on a game, or like you want to join a guild that's more social, is just, when you're logging in, make an effort to say hi and bye, just talk, just put things in the chat, because I'm a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. Sometimes I log in to a video game and I just want to play it, and I don't want to chat, and I don't want to do anything else. I just want to mong, and I'm tired, and I've only got the capacity to like use 4 of my fingers on the you know, my spells, like 4 spells. I'm only going to use 4 spells. I'm not going above that. Even if the fifth spell procs, I'm not going to use it. And you know, and I get lazy like that, and it stops me from communicating, it stops me from socializing. But I think as long as you make the effort and you put yourself out there, and you know, type to people and just say like, hey, how are you? And although some people don't like small talk, you know, they don't like the hi, how are you? I'm good, you? Like, oh, that drives me crazy. But just keep going at it, and eventually you'll find your niche, and you'll find a little group of people that you fit into. And you know, the social side of a game, for me, and for probably most people, right, is 75% of what makes you enjoy a video game. And for me, it is the social side of it. Like, I love it when my other half comes and plays video games with me. A lot of the time he doesn't, because he's getting so eggy on Overwatch. But I'm so excited for WoW Classic, which came out yesterday. I didn't log on to it because it was too late. It was like 11 o'clock, and Ian's on early, so he's up at like 6, and I just, you know, it was just too late. So this is a good time, Alith, to get into the social side of World of Warcraft. You did ask this question 12 months ago, so I'm hoping that you have found your niche now, and you found your little group of tight-knit friends. But if you haven't, now is a good time. Get into WoW Classic and start meeting some new people and travelling through the world together, because WoW Classic is massive, mega immersive. It's so different. It's not a race. I don't know how people can race in vanilla WoW, because it's kind of hard. Like, you need to be in a group for one. Like, killing, if you overpour, you're dead. But yeah, this is a good time to get socially involved with World of Warcraft. Do you love walking? With whom? I've just had to skip like 3 awful questions. Awful. And it's annoyed me, but then I saw this question and it instantly made me laugh. Do you love walking? With whom? I love walking with Maggie. I feel so grounded and happy when I watch my dog running, because she's a Springer Spaniel. She's like Jekyll and Hyde, because when she's in the house, she's really calm, she just sleeps. She was in here earlier, she was sleeping, just watching me set up and stuff. But when we're out and about, she goes nuts. Like, I have no control over her. A lot of people say, take treats out with you, hold the treats by your side and she'll stay and she'll want the treat. No, she doesn't care about anything apart from just running. But I love watching her. I love watching her get all of that energy out of her system, and then eventually she'll slow right down and start rolling around on the grass. And I don't know why she does that. She's learnt this new thing, which is scratching at the ground, and I think it's because she's found a worm or something. Gross, right? And then she puts it in her mouth and starts rolling with it. Maybe I should try it. Maybe it is an incredible experience and I'm missing out. So last question is from Joe Edward Mason, who's verified on Ask.fm. How do you get verified on Ask? I want to be verified. Right, what job do you have, if any? Which job would you like to have? Sorry if you've already received this. Don't be sorry. So the job that I currently have, I've always worked retail, loved it, love retail apart from at Christmas, right? But now I'm self-employed. I've been self-employed since I started Patreon, which was in 2014, early August, late July. And it's been a really consistent income, which is incredible. It's amazing. The support that I've had over on Patreon to enable me to be able to work from home, making Q&As, making vlogs, singing, exploring my voice, learning, trying to improve my voice has been just insane, absolutely insane. So that's what I do as my job, Patreon, singing, vlogging, and also recently, within like, I want to say a year and a half, I discovered DistroKid. A lot of people had told me to go on DistroKid, and when I looked into it, it was like it was like a set fee a month. I think it was $19 or a year or something, I can't remember. And I remember thinking, oh, I haven't got anything to sell. So DistroKid is a website, is a company where you can, once you've created your original piece of music, you can upload it to DistroKid and they distribute it to Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, all of those things. And so people kept saying, you know, get on DistroKid, get on DistroKid. And another amazing thing about DistroKid is that if you take part, sorry, there's a train going by, so if you hear squeaking, it's this, and a plane as well, and probably some automobiles. So with DistroKid also, if you, say I did a bit of singing with someone else on their track and they uploaded it to DistroKid, if I was a member of DistroKid as well, they can add me to a percentage of the royalties earned, which is so good. It makes collaborations so much more fair and easier to manage, because a lot of the time in the past people would say to me, you know, each year I'll figure out how much the song made and then I'll give you like a cut. But now it's just, you know, say I did the chorus and get 15% of the royalties, it's just an automatic thing, and the original artists don't need to, like, you know, try and figure out where that money needs to go. But DistroKid for me, it has become like quite a big earner since I've started exploring and writing my own original pieces of music and uploading them. And Spotify seems to be a really, really big earner as well, which is amazing, because a lot of people in my YouTube comments would say, are you on Spotify? Are you on Spotify? And at the time I was mostly doing parodies, and I used to respond with, I can't put my things on Spotify because they're not mine, they're just parodies of other people's music. But Spotify turns out now to be one of my biggest earners in regards to my original pieces of music. So so in regards to what job I'm doing now, it would be Patreon and DistroKid. They're my two main earners. Oh, and which job would you like to have? This one. This is exactly the job that I would like to have. I can't imagine myself doing anything else and being as happy as what I am doing this, and that is all thanks to you guys for being here and for watching my content, listening to my content and supporting me, so thank you. Right, that's it. I'm so hot. Look, I've got a fan, but I didn't put it on. Oh, that's incredible. I didn't put my fan on because it's too loud, and I didn't want it going throughout the video, and it's ever so muggy here today. We've had the hottest bank holiday on record in the UK, and it's gone really cloudy outside. We're meant to be getting thunderstorms, which are my favourite. I'm hoping to get some kind of musical inspiration as well. I always get musically inspired when it thunderstorms. And because of that, it's gone really, really, really muggy, humid. I haven't got the windows open because obviously we've got a train line right outside and trains keep going by, and there's a guy out there as well that was at 8 o'clock this morning blowing, well, I don't know what he was doing. He was cutting leaves with like the loudest piece of leaf cutting equipment I've ever heard in my life. And he was doing that for hours. So I had to kind of wait for him to go home before before I could do this. But anyway, thank you so much for all of the questions that you've submitted. If you want to get your question answered in a Q&A like this one, then head on over to rs.fm/Sharmalade and I will do my best to answer your question. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Have a fantastic time on World of Warcraft Classic. I am going to be playing on Pilewood Village as an alliance priest, human priest, with my partner Ian. So you're more than welcome to come over to Pilewood, make an alt over there, whatever, come and hang with me, come and hang with Ian. We are going to be a tank and a healer, so and we played through Vanilla Classic as well, so we're very in the know when it comes to how to pull correctly and how to CC and how to mark the CCs and how to make sure everything runs smoothly. So if you want to get in for a nice smooth run through dungeons, then come with us, we'll take you. But I'm also going to be playing a casual, filthy casual horde on Shazra. Ugh. And on both of those servers I've got the name Sharm, so I'm really happy. So yeah, Pirewood Village is a human priest called Sharm, and Shazra is an undead priest called Sharm. Have a wonderful week everyone, and I will see you soon. Bye!